Now that's a lot of damage!
Can you find me? I am perfectly blending into the environment, ready to strike from the shadows when you least expect it. Huzzah! Gotcha! Got him! Bam, 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 bam. That's right, people. You fell for my disguised look here. Come on, people. You know when you put a poncho or a robe on, you're basically blending in. No one's gonna notice you. You're not sticking out like a sore thumb, especially when you're wearing the Beskar bulletproof Crocs. People, today, I need you guys to put your finest disguises on because we're gonna be talking about the latest third edition to the Lord Vader team. Disguise Clone Troopers. Keep it down. Keep it down. The guy's disguised. You don't want to blow his cover. People, we got one thing to really talk about with this disguise Clone Trooper. Maximum damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Now that's a lot of damage. But there's a but, and we're talking a massive but. Let's just go talk about this character. Oh, God. All right, people, I'm right here just so you can see me. I know we're so disguised right now. Let's get this party rocking and rolling. Let's quickly talk about Zeta Omicron's mod for late video. Mod suggestions. Oh boy, speaking be hard. Well, can I just tell you guys that? All right, starting off with mod suggestions. We had a lot of people ask about this yesterday. I'm gonna put it straight out there. I don't think we're gonna get a ton of use out of Disguise Clone Trooper during this 3v3 session until Daddy Tarkin gets a rework finally, or touch it, whatever they're gonna call it. But in the meantime, here's a quick graphic provided by Pimpo. Make sure you reach out to if you need some modding assistance of your own. But for Disguise Clone Trooper, what we're gonna be rocking: speed, health sets. We want to make this guy fast. He's got a pretty gnarly base speed of 191. Very nice, very nice. When you get him up and running, he's gonna be rolling plays. So let's capitalize on that. Let's work on durability, throw some protection mods on him. Since we're not using the CX2 inside of 3 Grand Arena, we don't got to worry about the health mods in that regard. If you want to, sprinkle in a little bit of offense, because even though he's a support character and he's got some big, massive damage, he does hit pretty darn hard. So a little bit of offense, especially with his unique ability, juicing up even more offense, wouldn't be all that bad. Next up, let's quickly talk about Zeta recommendations. First and foremost, first things first, I am the realist. Come on, people, we know this. I would first recommend, if you are going to apply Zetas, the must-have Zeta. There is no if and buts, and there's definitely no Meilu runs or coconuts here. You're going to want to apply Decoy Squad 5. This allows him to get the insane, massive damage when an enemy has Order 66, and does even more massive damage on Jedi and Unaligned Force users with Order 66 per Relic Amplifier. So if you had 9 stacks, or 9 relics on this guy, and you targeted someone like, let's say, for example, Commander Tano, General Kenobi, Ezra Bridger Exile, it's almost an insta-kill. And this is a big deal that we're going to talk about. It basically acts like an insta-kill, and it bypasses insta-kill immunity. Huh. Funny how that works, huh? All right, the other Zeta, if you were going to go all the way right now, the next Zeta to apply, which I didn't see a ton of use right now, is going to be the Clever Ruse, where it's going to allow Disguised Clone Trooper, if he had stealth, he gives all the dark side Clone Trooper allies retribution until the end of an enemy turn. So seems kind of nice, allows you to get some nice counterattacks cooking up in there. Didn't get too much on that, but because the biggest problem is we had an issue landing stealth consistently. But we're going to talk a bit more about that. And if you were going to go above and beyond, the territory where Omicron looks really good, if you're someone that cares about that scary little what's it called? Two-lettered acronym, whatever it's called, this looks pretty darn good. Clever Ruse Omicron allows you to have Ruse no longer expire. Massive thumbs up. And anytime an enemy's inflicted with Order 66 and they're defeated, Allied Lord Vader and Darkside Clone Trooper are going to be taking bonus turns. Yeah, basically just mowing you down. It's pretty nice. But now with all that out of the way, let's actually talk more about this character in general. What is he adding to the Dark Side Clone Trooper, the new era of the Lord Vader? And there's a problem, but I think we're gonna solve it. Check out the hook while CG revolves it. Ice, ice, baby. Okay, it should be more like scorch, scorch, baby. Anyways, so I'm gonna put this out right here and now. Out of the Oppo, the CX2, and now Disguised Clone Trooper, I will say for right now, in the context of where we are before we get scored, this feels to be kind of the least impactful, perhaps. Oh boy, my disguise fell down. Oh gosh, that's embarrassing. Hold on, now you guys can tell who I am. There we go. Do I look extra disguised now? Yeah, we look good now. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by my disguise, out of all the clone troopers, this feels to be the least impactful. It didn't move the bar that much compared to the other ones that we had, where Appo just completely started the whole party with the whole Coruscant commander and all the other cool stuff he's got. And then CX2 took it to the next level with all the max health stuff, being able to constantly stay under stealth and kind of force you to have to go after Lord Vader. And then in 33 Grand Array, absolutely nuts. This guy's clone trooper is pretty much, it's kind of a one-trick pony. You need to have Order 66 on an enemy to get the massive damage, which, as we're going to say, it's kind of a difficulty without the Datacron and without whatever Scorch might be providing. And also getting basically the insta-kill when an enemy has Order 66 and they're a Jedi or unaligned Force user. That's basically it. It's a very simple thing, and the problem is if you don't have Order 66 going on, it's kind of hard to really appreciate this guy. But when he does have Order 66, especially with the absolutely nutty Datacron that Appo provides, where you're basically spamming Order 66 everywhere, hot dang, baby! He's able to smoke fools left and right. It just blows my mind seeing him basically just like one tap a Commander Tano or even an Ezra Bridger Exile. That's the big selling ticket item for this guy. Other than that, it's kind of, that's really it. You know, like CX2 and Appo, they had a lot of layers to themselves. And don't get me wrong, there are some other things that this guy's clone trooper is trying to bring. First and foremost, another way of getting Order 66. I'm trying to hold off on the things that I'm concerned about until the full team comes together. But Covert Assault, we have to look at every single clone trooper, how they provide, you know, Order 66. That is the new core mechanic of this team. Appo, let's refresh. When he does his second special, enemy has 8 stacks of damage over time. Boom, you're able to apply on just the target enemy, unfortunately, an Order 66 debuff. CX2, when he pings someone down 3 times in a row, he's able to apply Order 66 on him. So very specific ways. With Covert Assault, what we're gonna do is you're gonna deal special damage to the target enemy, which is cool. And if he had Ruse, which we'll talk a bit more about, he's gonna stun them for 1 turn, which can't be evaded or resisted. So cool, he needs to have Ruse to trigger all these additional effects on him. But if the enemy is already stunned or ability block and all allies are Lord Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, and or Darkside clone troopers, dispel all buffs on them and inflict Order 66. But Nightfall on Appo, you're gonna be able to target the enemy, stun them, so that's nice right there. If you could stun them, all the better. But furthermore, you can call a random clone trooper ally to assist. And the hope is, the problem is CX2 is also a support character, but the hope is you kind of got like a 50-50 shot. You can get this guy's clone trooper to assist, and what happens? Well, guess what? He's gonna get some good stuff when he's gonna be able to assist them. If you could stun someone with Appo and then transition into this, yeah, that's gonna be nice. Getting Order 66. This is probably one of the better ways of trying to get it out there if you could try to get Appo to land some stun-like abilities. So that's basically the next way of getting Order 66. And again, let's hold off on some of the concerns I have about Order 66 because I have an order of 66 other things I want to talk about. Get it? It's okay, you guys can yeet. There you go. Perfect. But let's go talk about this. The stealth is incredibly important. At the start of each of his turns, if he was stealth, he recovers 50% health, protection, and gains 20% turret and ruse. And then when this guy's clone trooper attacks, he loses stealth, which makes sense. If you're attacking, you kind of lost your disguise, right? You know, see, you know, disguise, not disguise. Disguise, not disguise. Come on, people. This is elementary, my dear Watsons. But furthermore, at the start of each enemy's turn, if the disguised clone trooper had stealth, which is why you want to keep under stealth as long as possible, all other dark side clone troopers get that retribution. So my biggest thing is you want him to be able to get out there and attack and do some big damage, the massive damage and whatnot, try to get Order 66 in that basic ability. But there comes a downside where if you don't have this, if you don't have stealth, well then you're gonna have a bit of an issue trying to trigger all these additional effects that were on him here, right? And then the other thing that we talk about is really just that unique ability, which we don't need to hammer too much, but this is where we want to get that extra offense potentially, because here, if there was the Galactic Republic enemy, he's going to first off get 30% off. Actually, back it up. First off, this guy's clone trooper just straight up gets 30% offense. We got to back that up. That's why you might want to have a little bit of offense, because he does have some good damage. But if there's a Galactic Republic enemy, he's going to stealth for 2 turns. So already setting up great for all those additional effects that we talked about, like the retribution and whatnot. And then at the end of each of his turns, what he's gonna do if he didn't have Ruse, he's gonna stealth for 3 turns. So we're trying to keep him under stealth as long as possible, getting all these cool Ruse effects. But again, it's kind of a catch-22. Well, if you can have stealth Ruse, and that's why that territorial Omicron, it's kind of a big deal. You don't really have to worry about doing the stealth the Ruse shenanigans, because in territories with the Omicron, you're never going to lose the Ruse, which is going to be an absolutely helpful thing. And I do want to throw out one more thing. Yes, we're relying mostly on his massive damage to that unique ability, but well-executed ambush, especially if you have some offense mods to kind of sprinkle in there, he does it pretty decently, even without Datacrons and whatnot. He can deal special damage to all enemies, 10% more damage for each stack of damage over time, 20% if this guy's Clone Trooper had, guess what? Ruse! Stack up to 200%. So if there are just 10 damage over time, you get the 200% damage. That's not too hard to get to, and we can get some pretty solid damage. If you throw a Datacron on top of this, Lord have mercy. Oh, and then all dark side Clone Troopers and allies get advantage, and then you get all these great effects if you're fighting just a light side enemy in general, be able to get the healing immunity. And then if he had Ruse, he gets the healing immunity can't be dispelled, resisted. Then you get damage over times on a Galactic Republic. They just get absolutely wrecked. It's a straight up murder. It literally is looking like Kenobi's already down. The win rates for Kenobi in 33, 0%. He's dead. You don't need to keep killing him, please. Oh gosh, I feel bad for Kenobi. We still have one more dark side clone to come around. But anyways, if they're a Galactic Republic, you're gonna reduce their speed by 15, which is pretty neat for 2 turns. And then if you had Ruse, so again, this is why Ruse is so important, reduce their speed by another 15 and inflict them with a stack of damage over time. So you can see why in territories, always having Ruse is gonna be nice. And then if they're a Jedi, you inflict offense down for 2 turns. And if we had Ruse, the offense down can't be resisted. And guess what? You get a damage over time. So pretty cool stuff. But again, at the end of the day, he's got all these neat little things. Yeah, Ruse this, Ruse that. The thing that just matters most about this guy is getting Order 66 on the enemy, whether he does it, CX2 does it, Oppo does it, or the good old Datacron does it. And you just want to get that Decoy Squad 5 into play so he does that insane massive damage, hitting for potentially 990,000 damage, assuming you're at Relic 9, targeting an enemy that had Order 66 and they're either a Jedi or a light side unaligned Force user. That's it. It's really a one-trick pony type of thing that's got a couple other little, I don't know, fixins associated with it. But this comes the problem that I have with the Datacron. This is absolutely no issue. And then, we've been saying this over the course of the past weeks, like, oh, the Datacron's great, the Datacron's great. But the problem is, what happens when the Datacron is gone? Well, we have a problem. I'm not worried right now. We still have one more dark side clone. The thing is, this is the best way to get Order 66 out there, because anytime an enemy has any amount of damage over time and it's dispelled, he's gonna get Nightfall, but he's gonna inflict Order 66 on a random enemy. This just spams Order 66 on the enemy team, and it sets you up great. You're able to easily get that massive damage to trigger for this guy's Clone Trooper. But the problem is, without this Datacron, with the 3 clones we have now, it's kind of hard getting it out there. You have to wait for 8 stacks of damage over time for Oppo's special ability, and it only works on the target enemy. So you gotta work to get there, and it's only one enemy. CX2, you have to hit someone 3 times in his turns. That's also kind of a pain in the butt. And then this guy's Clone Trooper, his basic is all right if you can get someone that's already stunned at ability block. Then you get that Order 66 on. It's a little complicated getting an ample amount of damage, Order 66. So maybe it's the balancing factor, because if it was able to spam it nonstop like the Datacron, holy smokes, this would be truly a threatening team. But the Datacron's only temporary. I don't know what Scorch is gonna bring. I'm assuming we're saving the best for last. Just like, remember, anytime we build up a new team, you're like, oh, it's missing something. Just look at the Gungans, for example. As we build it up, it's like, man, this team really needs a taunt so we can divert attention away from the generator. And that's why Phalanx is probably the most important unit for that Gungan crew, of course, aside from Jar Jar Binks. But being able to just divert the attention from the generator really took the Gungans to that final step that they needed. I'm assuming that this guy's Clone Trooper is waiting for Scorch to bring one more thing to the table. And I think it's a very safe bet to say they're saving the best for last. A lot of people are hyped for Scorch. I think that's kind of the high priority Clone Trooper that people really wanted to see. But for now, I want to just put it out there. Without the Datacron, it's a lot more challenging to get this unique ability in play. But if we get to a situation, the Datacron or maybe Scorch, this unique ability is one of the most threatening unique abilities I've ever seen. Just nonstop hitting for 1,000,000 damage almost on a unique is insane to the membrane. But keep in mind, we also have one other thing that we're waiting for, and that is going to be Grand Moff Tarkin. We're waiting for Grand Moff Tarkin's rework. I'm assuming it's after Scourge, so that way for people that don't have Lord Vader, you get yourself a reason to actually use these Clone Troopers in the meantime. We don't have no idea how good it's going to be. My hope he's going to be like an Iden Versio level team out there. But the reason I'm bringing this out, because I don't think this guy's Clone Trooper is going to replace CX2 and Oppo in 3v3. They're just way too important for Lord Vader, especially that Omicron on CX2. I can't imagine putting in this guy in here, especially if he needs Order 66. I noticed Lord Vader without the Datacron has a harder time getting that out there, but who knows? Time will tell. The intention, CG said, was to put Tarkin with the Scorch as well as the Skies Clone Trooper, but we still got a few more weeks. So I'm not too worried yet, but I just want to put that out there in case it does come to fruition, that if we don't get another way to get Order 66 out there, this team is going to have some shortcomings. But again, if they just completely open the faucet for Order 66, holy cow, this is going to be a scary thing that I don't want to have to deal with. But that's going to be all for today. So on your way out, again, make sure you put your disguises on. We don't want people knowing what we were talking about today, yeah? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyways, thank you all for coming out here today. Looking forward to seeing the last piece of the puzzle. Although this didn't move the needle that much for this team, Scorch, I'm thinking, is going to really kind of put this all together for this disguised clone trooper and putting the final piece to the new era of Lord Vader. So make sure you gently disguise that like button. Comment down below on your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, it's great to be disguised today.
Oh, it's great to be